Hey y'all, and thank you for tuning in to Curb Uncensored. Look, I'm gonna get right into this story I want to talk about because everybody and their mama been talking about it, so I figure I may as well touch on it too. You know what I'm saying? But first off, I want to say that everything I say on my show, any and always, is for entertainment purposes only. You could do whatever you want to do with it, but it's my opinions about what is going on whatever I'm talking about. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Honey, I'm sure all of you have heard about the wife, right? The lady that went viral um, because she found out that her husband was cheating with his mistress, right? So, this is the thing. Now, I'm sure all you ladies and men out there have heard of this old school song from back in the day when a woman's fed up, blank, 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 blank. You know, you can't say the whole thing because people be wanting to sue you these days, child. But you know, when a woman is fed up, honey, so let's get all the way into this. First off, I'm gonna play a video that I'm sure all of you have already heard and seen, but I want to play a little bit on my thing too, so you could just kind of make sure that everyone who's listening right now kind of familiar with what's going on in her story. Here we go.
So, okay, y'all. So when he comes home, I greet him at the door, give him a hug and a kiss and ask him about his trip while he's unpacking. And so I'm like, show me some pictures from your trip. And he was like, oh, I didn't take any pictures. I was running around working and we were just so busy and on the go. We were just, just going to and fro. So I was like, oh, okay. So when we go to have dinner, I was like, hey, I called the airlines to see what time your flight was getting in. And I said, they told me there was someone else on your itinerary. And I tell him the person's name. And he was like, who was that? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. He was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And he was like, mm-mm. He said, they must have made a mistake. So I was like, well, okay. So I went along with it, but something about it, my spirit just was not feeling right. So I was like, something about this is just not right. So that night when we go to bed, he's sleeping over there just a snoring. I'm over there tossing and turning because I was like, something about this just does not feel right. So something tells me in the morning when you get up, go check your credit card bills that are on the counter. So the credit card bills are all stacked up out on our kitchen counter, and I don't open them because I don't pay the bill. I mean, it's American Express bill each month. They be high. So I was like, I ain't got none on it, so no need for me to open them. But that was my account, and I added him to it years ago. And I just let him open it, open the bill and pay it. And there was sometimes I would open it, but most times I would just look at my portion of it and just keep it moving. So that morning when I get up, I go to church and he tells me that he had to leave because he had to catch up on work and all that kind of stuff later on in the day. So I was like, okay. So I go to church and when I come back from church, I get ready to go to the Falcon game. But something was like, check one of those credit card bills before you go. When I open up that bill, the woman that the airline employee mentioned that was on his itinerary, her name was up and down my credit card bill. Flights here, flights there, flights to Paris, Delta vacations, a country here, an island there, something. And this was in 1 month. So I'm sitting there like, what in the world? So by this time, y'all, I'm steaming and I got to go to this Falcon game with my girlfriends and try to act like I'm having a good time. But the whole time, my mind is racing. So I was like, okay, so I come home that night. I stack up all those bills. I got bills for like 8 months worth of bills. Actually, that was October. So 10 months. I pulled from December of 21 to October of 22. And when I tell you, it was very telling. This woman's name was on every one of my bills for each of those months several times. So while I thought he was out working and telling me that I couldn't travel with him because, he didn't want to get distracted. Oh, he had a travel mate, all right. He had one. Stand by for part 3. So I go through all these credit card bills, finds this girl's name for months on my credit card bills, for the last 10 months specifically. So at that time, I try to call his phone, call my husband's phone and text him. No answer, no text back. So I called his boy's house because he told me he was going to his boy's house to watch football. No answer from him. So I texted him and was like, hey, is he with you? No answer back. Then all of a sudden, here come my phone ringing. It's my husband. Like, oh, I ran out to get something to eat. Like, what's up? And I was like, oh, you know what's up. I said, and I started repeating the girl's name. And he was like, why you keep saying that name? And I was like, I kept saying the name. So he was like, well, I don't understand why you keep calling the name. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, your gig is up. I was like, you nasty motherfucker. I was like, your gig is up. So he was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm on my way home. I'm on my way home. I was like, bring your ass on home. I was like, come home. Because by this time, I'm furious. So I hang up the phone. I'm just like livid, y'all. I promise you. I think my blood pressure was on like 1,000 that day. So he comes in, and he come in like all Billy Bad, like, why you keep mentioning that name? And I was like, you tell me why I keep mentioning that name. So I was like, I'm going to ask you this. I said, I'm going to ask you one time. I said, no, I know the truth. I was like, was such and such on this flight with you? He was like, no, I don't know why you keep mentioning that name. I don't know who that is. I said, I'm going to ask you one more motherfucking time and know that I know the truth. Don't lie to me. And it was like this mask fell off of him. And he sat down in his chair and he was like, yeah, she was with me. And I was like, okay. I said, so that's your girlfriend? He was like, yeah. I said, well, how long you been with her? He said, a couple of years. And I was like, okay. So by this time, I can't hold it together. I mean, I think all I remember doing, I remember crying, and I had a really, really bad headache. And all he said to me was, and this was what he says was really kind of like cut me. He was like he was relieved. He was like, at least I ain't got to lie no more. I'm sorry I hurt you, but at least I don't have to lie anymore. So by this time, I'm like, say what now? So I'm screaming, I'm yelling. My son's upstairs. He comes down, goes back up because I was like, everything's fine, everything's fine. But my head is like hurting like really, really bad, guys. So I come back to my bathroom to try to get some medicine. So I was like, let me take my blood pressure. Blood pressure was like 190 over 110 or some crazy shit like that. So I was like, I got to get to a hospital. So stand by. It gets more interesting.
I can't say that she broke up a happy home because she did what he allowed her to do. I don't have my problem don't be with the other women unless you make yourself my problem. And see, her smug look is what made it a problem for me. And he's not my husband, but just her attitude is the problem. Cause she was looking like, yeah, I'm busted. Now what? Oh yeah, I'm with your man now. Now what? And that's probably where all this stuff kind of like went left in my head. And I'm sure his wife, like I say, when a woman's fed up, we all know what time it is, right? And the thing is that he wasn't any better. Yeah, he was shocked and amazed and looking cray cray, like most men would do when they busted, like a can of biscuits, not biscuits, biscuits. You know what I'm saying? But when a man is busted and looking like a busted can of biscuits, my thing is that's how he was looking. But he didn't try to console his wife. So that let me know that there was something there that wasn't probably altogether happy with him. And then the thing that really, really, really irked me is he's been messing around with her for a couple years. Well, we're gonna move this thing on forward, right? Because I'm not gonna keep beating a dead horse. All y'all know what he did and how he did it and all that, right? And that he did not seem to care. Because there's a moral to this story, right? And Gail is gonna let us know what that moral is before when it's all said and done. But this is my thing. She was an arrogant person. And you gotta kind of be careful how you do things because the way you get that man, hey, karma is a mug. Now, when I say that, Miss Sabrina got a little ammo of her own. You know what I'm saying? And no one could have told her but Harold, the husband or the soon to be ex-husband. I don't know if they're still married right now or not, or they're still going through their divorce because 30 years is a long time, assets and all that stuff has to be divided. However, all right. So my thing is this: um, when they were sitting there looking cray cray, I felt that he should have pulled his wife to the side, maybe had a little conversation with her, not kind of make validate what he was doing and make it the wife, well, the mistress, which she's hoping to become the wife. Trust me, most times they do. They'll say they're not, but most times they are. They want to become the wife. He should not have validated her. He owed his wife that much respect. But Miss, as I was saying, Sabrina had got a little ammo from Harold, no one other than him, and said basically he didn't understand why Gail was acting the way she was acting because basically, and I'm kind of giving my own interpretation because I'm not saying it verbatim, but basically when the two of them got together 25 years back or 30 years back, he was married. Child, when I heard that, now let me let you hear a little bit of this story because Sabrina kind of came on out with it because she knew that. I'm sorry, not Sabrina. Gail kind of came out with it because she knew Sabrina had put it out there, right? So let me let Gail tell her little story, child. Listen for me. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, y'all. Earlier this morning, I posted a lengthy and detailed video stating that today was my 28th wedding anniversary, and I was giving some details about how I met my husband. And I told you all earlier that, we're going through this process right now. I can't share too much of it, but I would share everything once we kind of get through. And I feel the need to address this. I really shouldn't have to, but I want to. So I ain't nobody's victim, and I ain't having nobody's pity party. So my original post was about me seeing him and her for the first time in the airport. I admitted that I was shocked. I was. And the video was only about 7 seconds where I said, have a good flight. I think I said, hey, Harold, have a good flight. And I walked on off, right? And I turned the video off after that. And then I said something like, that's his mistress. He's my husband. I'm the wife. And I went on back to where I was sitting in the Sky Club. Didn't say anything else. So I guess she's is saying something about when we got to the gateway to get on the plane. Yeah, I said some things to him, but he's my husband, so I can say whatever I want to say to him. And it's just like kicking any trash can. You kick it, and the trash may get over on you too. So some of it, she might have caught some of the flack, but that's just par for the course when when you do this kind of stuff. And well, it wasn't too much I could do anyway because I had filed for divorce the year earlier. I filed for divorce in December of 22. So wasn't anything I really could do, guys, but other than doing what I did do. And then I kept it moving. But let me tell you something. Me and this girl are not the same person. When she met my husband, she knew he was married. She actually encouraged him to leave me. She was doing really disrespectful shit. She came to my Spelman Morehouse homecoming and sat under my tent and saw me sitting right there beside him and knew he was married. And we were all having a good time. There was no animosity that day. We were all having a good time. So as far as I'm concerned, she came around my family uninvited. Or actually, he might have invited her, but she knew what the deal was. Then she had the nerve to post that clip of Sunshine from Harlem Nights the day that I found out everything. Yeah, because I went on one of her pictures and kind of said a few things. And then she posted that video just kind of trying to taunt me. So I'm like, so you're going to taunt me and gloat after I find out that you've been with my husband. So, I'm like, So like I said, I don't owe anyone an explanation, but I'm keeping it 100. So I ain't judging him. I ain't judging her. But at the same time, she and I ain't the same. And this is not about her. This is all about him and his lies, his deception, and all of that. So before you all get to start want to judge me and start talking about it's karma and all that, it could be, but it is what it is. So, I got to live with it, I'm going to be accountable for 100% of all my shit. So, but I'll say before you all start throwing stones and want to judge somebody, you need to hear the whole story. So, every woman he's ever been with has been deceived and lied to. But I'll give you the story about how he and I met and what the situation was. Stand by. Hey, y'all. I'm going to address this part about the start of my relationship with my husband, and I'm going to be done. And you can say what you want to say, do what you want to do. It is what it is, and that was almost 30 years ago. But when I was introduced to him, I was told he was not married. Only to find out later that he was. So I told him then that I did not deal with married men and that I didn't want to do anything to some other woman that I didn't want done to me. And I meant that, and I still hold to that. So, of course, he gave me the standard, we've been having problems and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I would talk to him, I would tell him, he would try to be hitting on me, but I would knock it right down because I wasn't attracted to him. My husband was overweight, morbidly obese, actually. But he was a nice guy. But when I would talk to him, I would encourage him to stay with his wife and kids. And I thought he thought that was the oddest thing, but that's what I would do. I would encourage him because I didn't like him like that. And I was like, you're married, so this ain't going anywhere anyway. So he kept asking me like, what if I was divorced because she and I having problems and all of that. And I was like, well, if that's the case, you need to get your problem handled. I said, I can't even think about ever even dating you or doing any of that because you're still married. So lo and behold, he tells me that he's going to divorce her. He started his process and that, he wanted me to be his girl and all that kind of stuff. Actually gave me some diamond earrings to let me know. He was like, this is to let you know that I'm super duper serious about this thing. So I was like, well, okay then, because during this whole time, we had no intimate relationship or any of that for like 3 months. Because actually I was calling him Al Bundy. And he didn't even know why I was calling him that. Because he was like, why you always call me Al Bundy? And I was like, because you married with children and I don't mess with Al Bundys or whatever, right? So once he started his divorce proceedings, he asked me would I date him. So I did. So there may be some fault there where I started dating him before his actual divorce was final. But I made sure that he had filed divorce because that's what he told me. So we did take a trip to the Essence Music Festival the first year. And a phone call came in. And, I'm assuming that it was his wife. But the way he responded to the call let me know that, basically something was up. And that he probably had lied to me. So when we get off the phone, I was like, I thought you filed for divorce. Like, why was that conversation going that way? He didn't really have too much to say. But he was like, well, no, I talked about it, but I was going to file. I'm still doing some reach out. I'm filing when I get back and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, I was furious because I was like, you've lied to me. Like, why would you, tell a lie like that? The only reason I came with you on this trip was because you told me you had filed and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking everything kosher with them and that I didn't have anything to do with that. Because he told me in the beginning, like, no, she and I having issues. And if I file for divorce, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So I was like, well, okay, then. So, like I said, I wasn't attracted to him at first. But he was a really nice guy, really nice guy. He was a professional guy, was president of a company and all that kind of stuff. But I had my own thing. I was working. I was a single mom doing my own little thing. So I didn't really need him for anything. But the only thing that I'll say about that was, yeah, I did start dating him after he filed for divorce. And I think from the time I met him to the time he divorced was like a 10-month span. So those first 3 months, I didn't say anything to him, like romantically, because I was not attracted to him. And that is for real. If you see the picture of him before, you'll know why, but he was a nice guy. So I'm just saying. But I'll say that, maybe me dating him before the divorce was final, was wrong. And I'll take accountability for that, but I can't go back, 30 years now and correct that. I'm just trying to move forward and do what's right. But, Miss Thing is trying to like paint this narrative like, oh, she was doing the same thing. Not the same thing at all, because my whole time I was encouraging him to stay with his people. She did not. I have the text messages between them from the day they met to, all the things that he was telling her, the things she was telling him and telling him that she didn't have anything and that she left her family with just the clothes on her back and, just this little sob story for him. So I guess he went with it. But like I said, y'all, this was originally about me posting a video of me seeing them for the first time in the airport. So I ain't judging her. I ain't going to judge him. Like I said, I'm not, but it ain't like I willfully went out and decided like I'm going to go and destroy his family. It was nothing like that. So a lot of us were deceived. A whole bunch of us were deceived. So that is what he has done. That's what he continues to do. So I'm going to let it be what it is. And like I said, once we get further down the road in this process, I can share some things. I don't know how to share the receipts on here. I thought you could only do videos. So anybody that knows how you can post pictures and all of that of the text messages, I'll show you that I ain't got no lie to tell. And the whole time, I never talked to my husband's former wife. The only conversation we ever had was when she would bring the kids over and stuff like that. But she never said anything to me about me being the cause. But I did find this out, that after she found out that he and I was breaking up, she told someone that she was like, oh, she finally found out after all these years. Like she finally found out who he really is. because I think I mentioned in the earlier video about him telling me about how she was not having any kind of intimate relationship with him. And he thought it was because she was depressed and, had some postpartum and all of that. Turns out, word got back to me. She was like, I wasn't depressed or I didn't have postpartum either. It was because I was tired of being in the doctor's office because he kept giving me stuff. So, I'm going to just leave it there, guys. And like I said, once all this is over, I'll come back and give you plenty of details. So old girl can keep telling all the stories she wants, but, they hanging, they doing their thing. I just got a message from a woman this morning who saw them out in Dallas last night at Trulux and said that, old girl got pregnant by her husband some years ago while she lived in California. So she was like, she's all about the money. So, and she is. And I'm telling you, y'all, yeah, I've lived a privileged life, but I've earned everything I've got here in this household. When he was sick, when he was doing all his other stuff, when he had to get shit wiped off of him, she wasn't here. I was wiping shit, cleaning up vomit, and all the things that a wife would do. So for that, for better or worse, yeah, I stuck in between all of that. So, like I said, I'm going to end this right here. You can say what you want, judge how you want, but it's all good. I'm going to be good in the end. I was just sharing and hoping that my story would empower someone else to not be embarrassed, to stand up on your own, but it is what it is, and I'm living for today. Hope y'all have a good one.
Right. So Miss Sabrina wanted to put out in them streets, you know, Gail was out here doing the same thing. So she should know what time it is. She should know why things are like they are. Um Now, no one could have told her that but Harold. Harold was playing real dirty. So he must really, really like this woman. Because obviously he doesn't love her. He doesn't love her because his wife at the time, Gail, at the time or currently, I don't know, found out when she started digging and doing her investigating, it wasn't just Miss Sabrina. There were other women that he had been whining and dining. Check this out on Gail's American Express card. That's how, outside of the representative with the airline busing him, he had everything, not everything, but a lot of things documented on the American Express card. Like, is he a new fool or is he a new fool? And like I said, you ain't got to go looking for it. Sometimes God drop it right down in your lap, right? So she looked down there and she realized that there were other women too that he was messing around with. Well, this is where the plot thickens, right? Um, they're going through divorce at some point. They were going through divorce. I don't know if it's already finished or whatever the case may be, but she listed everything. She was listing trips, how much money he had. He had gotten a loan. They were leasing cars. She put Gail put it all out there in these streets, honey. Should I say internet streets, Atlanta streets, streets of a friend, streets of people who don't know her. She put everything out here in these streets, which it's public record when you're going through a divorce or whatnot. Anyway, but she not only did that, she also went out here and talked about it on social media. That's how everybody found out about it. Now let me tell you something. This is where I felt like Gail went wrong. Gail, I'm with you. I understand, that back in the day you were young and he told you some things when he was married to that ex-wife, which now that it probably was not all true. He's probably lying. You probably knew back then it wasn't all true. But you were kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt because you grew to like him. You say you didn't like him at first, but you grew to like him. So you were giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? Right? All right. But the girl, Sabrina, he was lying to her too. I'm sure, honey, his home was all broken down. Let him tell her. You know how they do. They tell you a little bit of everything that's not true because they trying to get things and pacify the situation. It's something new. He with you 25 years. He with her too. She a little younger, but to be honest with you, Gail, you look good, honey. She don't have nothing on you. So don't ever second guess yourself. You look good. Okay. And she doesn't look much younger than you, by the way, FYI. But the problem that I have And you and I could kind of relate a little bit because I too, like I said, had been married for some time. But you kind of some of the things that you were putting out there and going about it, you kind of like was messing up your coins a little bit too because some of the information that was put out or divulged and some of the things that I heard from a blogger, I can't remember the blogger. I kind of half asleep when it came to my eyeballs, about the divorce documents and all of that. Um, you shouldn't have probably said because his coins get all the way messed up with the IRS because you said you was going to report that at some point and different activities he shouldn't have been doing. I guess money he probably put in places he shouldn't have or not reporting. You were threatening to let the IRS know. Now I'm gonna tell you, when you start bringing them boogers into things, you opening up a whole nother can of worms. I would not have necessarily went that way. I think that she was hurt, disappointed, shocked. I don't feel I feel like most women, right? If your man's stepping out, or even a man, like they've been saying about Remy Ma Papoose. Now that's a whole nother story because I was so shocked about Remy, but Remy's still my girl and all, but whatever. I don't want to talk about that right now. But personally, I feel if your man or woman is not doing what he's supposed to do at home and you feel like something is happening on the outside of your house, you have a gut feeling. You know what I mean? That intuition is serious. That women's intuition, as women, when you get it in that gut check, you know something is going on with your man. Really, it's just validated when it comes out. You understand what I'm saying? Because you kind of know. If you've been with a man 20 something years, 10 something years, hey, you know when something is off in that relationship. Now let's keep it 100. I personally am a very good judge of character. I put together some good relationship. I really should be doing the dating thing. But anyway, you know when somebody's about game. But it's what you're willing to accept. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Like he's saying, nobody messing up his money. Nobody wouldn't be messing up my money because see, she was looking like she finna come up. But what she don't understand is when all this divorce is said and done, she might not like him the same. Or she may be one of those women, be like, baby, we'll start it all over and build it up again. But starting over at 50 and 60 years old and stuff like that ain't like starting a business when you were young, like in your 20s and 30s, and you're vibrant and you just out to get it, honey. Your mind be in a whole different atmosphere, stratosphere, universe when you hitting them 60s and 50s and 60s and 70s. You in a whole new vibe. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you ain't normally you ain't that dog you was at 30, 40. And when I mean a dog, I mean when it in the business sector. I'm not saying like a dog arrow, because we know what time of day you are. You down there with the dirty. Allegedly. But anyway, I think Gail went about it the wrong way. I think she could have stacked her cards. What y'all think, ladies? Y'all think her emotions kind of went to her on her sleeve and she was hurt and hurt people, you know that little cliche. Do you think she was just hurt? And being that she was hurt, she didn't let her mind clear. And then she was probably talking to some friends, some married, some single. Girl, you know you can't talk to them single friends now. You can't talk to. Well, I have some single friends that give me some good information, but sometimes you got to go to God and you got to give yourself time to calm down because when you make decisions and you're upset, most time you make the wrong decision. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I think that she was really acting out of emotions, and I think being that was the case, I think that she probably made some decisions ordinarily she probably would not have made. Now, because what you understand, what Gail has to understand when she messing with his coins, she probably messing with her coins. You know what I mean? I understand the hurt, but you got to be logic and you got to be standing on 2 feet when you make certain lifetime decisions. Because it seemed as if he was the breadwinner and he brought most of the money in. So when that happens, you got to kind of think clearly. Now, what I don't understand is I heard that he handled all the finances and she knew nothing about nothing about nothing. Come on now, ladies, you got to at least be on top of some game. You can't be sitting here looking cray cray. You got to know a little bit about what's going on in your household. So if she knew nothing about nothing, she was really in a bad position. She's really in a bad position. So she's hoping that she can gain something from all of when all this is said and done. But if she put him in a lot of debt because it sounds like he has a lot of debt anyway, it may not be a whole lot. She may be starting over. She might just be starting life all the way over because basically she can't get what he don't have. And if she bring out the debt, she want to start calling the IRS. Them some letters you don't even want to be playing around with. You don't want to bring them suckers in on nothing. You understand what I'm talking about? Child, you leave them where they at. So what I'm saying is that, honey, you got to think with a clear head. My thing is, women, listen to your auntie talking. Whew, if y'all just listen to me, okay? If a man, you can't keep nobody that don't want to be kept. And as a matter of fact, you shouldn't want to keep anyone that doesn't want to be kept. I love my husband to death. But what I would tell you, if the love is not reciprocated, you should not want it because it's a two-way street. It just don't feel as good when it's a one-way street. You know what I mean? So if he was out here spreading joy around, because I think Gail said something about back in the day, his ex-wife said the reason that she stopped dealing with him intimately is because she was tired of being in the doctor's office. Now I'm sure you can read between those lines. Well, my thing is that if that's the case, I would have been running away from him. I wouldn't have wanted to be bothered with him. Let me tell you, when a person shows you who they are, you have to believe it. Now, if you're young, like she was at the time, she was just in it for whatever. He probably was giving her some things, and she kind of fell in love with the niceness, but the money don't hurt either. So she fell in love with those things, and she was willing to give the relationship a try. I'm sure they had children. Of course, they married, not in that order, but now they're going through the same thing his ex-wife before her was going through. And kind of like the same way a little bit. Um, you got to take it to the chin. But what you don't want to do is mess up anything that's come to you. And him going to jail is definitely and losing it all is definitely not going to help you. Now, maybe you got something you sitting with, I hope. And if that's the case, then maybe your approach might be okay. You know what I mean? But my biggest thing is this: if you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. I'm just saying. I'm hurting. Yeah, I'm hurting. I'm gonna go through it. But I'm resilient, baby, more than anything. And I think what women, as women, what we have to learn how to do is we have to learn how to love the person that's in the mirror. Because what happens is all this energy you give it to him. Yeah, I'm hurt. I'm crying. Sister feeling down. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get up. I may be bent, baby, but I'm not broken. And as long as you can kind of get yourself together, think clearly, make you know, good conscious decision, then you'll be okay because you're a pretty lady. Definitely not gonna have a problem meeting someone else because I think from what I heard, you have some celebrity friends. So you definitely in the network of things. So you will bounce back, baby. The good thing about it is you kept yourself up. Now, what goes around comes around. Like he on the other side now, honey. He like he looked like he probably like in his I don't know. I don't want to get it wrong. He probably like in his early 60s, late 50s. So it ain't like if she decide that she wanna keep dealing with him, that he got, all this time to be around out here playing. One thing about a man, they gonna find a woman. That's just how they can find anything they want these days, just about. But a woman could do the same thing. Because I heard Gail say one of the things she did was start blaming herself. What could she have done? She kept herself up. She cooked. She was a good wife, a good mother. She took care of things at home. What did she not do to satisfy him? Let me tell you something. It's not even always about that. Some people think with the wrong head, if you know what I mean. And a lot of times there's some lonely women, just like there's some lonely men. And if they come across their path, things end up clicking. And it's new. That's all. It was new. But when you get with somebody, you're gonna be new too. Think about it like that. So all I would tell you, Gail, I would say you don't put a lot of people up in your business. At this point, you can't take it back. Plus, the divorce is going to be public, you know. But at this point, I would probably not divulge anything to the IRS, anything else about him to try to drag him down. Let her have him. She thinks she getting something. He was cheating on her too. She was a mistress. How you a mistress? You the side chick. And then it's another side chick to the side chick. And there's another side chick to the side chick to the side chick. We're just right here spreading a whole bunch of probably who knows what. Child, let them go. You know what? You gotta hurt before you heal. So I would just say at this point, I would let the courts handle it because he's a dog now. Bow wow, baby. And what she's asking for, she's gonna get. And I hate that your relationship had to end this way, and your marriage end. But sometimes it's all for the good because he wasn't gonna stop. He had too many other women outside of Sabrina who thought she a dime piece out here in these streets. Child, please. When they see one cute woman, a pretty woman, they've seen them all. Trust me. Some might be a little cuter than others, but everybody has that little dime thing within them. So it's not always the exterior that attracts a man. Sometimes it's the interior. And sometimes relationships run their course. You know what I mean? Some things are lifetimes and some things are a season. He was just a season. He was a long season, couple seasons, but he was a season. So I would tell you to the energy he was getting and social media was getting, I would say put it into yourself. You've given us a lot to talk about. We've heard a lot of your relationship. Now, honey, when I come back on the scene, if I was you, a sister would be putting out there what she doing. I will wrap that up real quick because you did say you would come back and just kind of like let us know what time it is. I will wrap that up real quick, not going to too much, just enough to kind of finalize it. And then the next thing they know, I'll be busting out doing my thing, putting that time and energy into me. That's what I would do. So I will have given them enough of my energy. If you're not divorced yet, your divorce is the final. I will go ahead and finalize that, honey, and I'll be working on the new me. And sometimes the new you might be better than the old you. But honey, what Miss Sabrina is asking for, she's gonna get. She already has, and it's not all she think it is. But anyway, honey, I just had to come back and touch on that because Harold out here in these streets, slanging in around town, and he ain't being cute with it. So anyway, enjoy your day. I just want to come and say what's up, and I will be back again. Bye bye.